Welcome back to the Book Barn. I'm Lanie, and today our episode's just a little different. Laisha will not be here for the first segment, but I have my sister here. Welcome, Michelle.
I'm so happy to be Laisha today.
So I have a couple questions for you. Can you start by tell our listeners what job you do?
I am an adjunct English instructor or professor for Friends University and Butler Community College. Friends University is in Wichita, Kansas, and Butler Community College is in El Dorado, Kansas.
Okay. So can you tell us how you know our first student that we will be talking to?
The student we will be speaking to is named Veronica. She'll introduce herself more. This is a little bit of a long story, so I'll try to keep the abridged version going here. Through one of my colleagues at Butler Community College, she knew Veronica's mother, and they were looking for someone who could help her prepare for the SATs. She is a brilliant student and has very high aspirations for what she would like to do with her future as far as college goes. And so one thing leads to another, and my name was given to her. And so this summer, I have been tutoring Veronica specifically to help get her prepared for the SAT.
That's amazing.
It's been very enjoyable. I've gotten to know Veronica, and she is, I want to say a blast, but I've just really enjoyed working with her.
I also wanted to ask you about the college-bound reading list. What can you tell me about this?
Well, I am far from the expert, even though my job seems to indicate that I should be the expert in this area. But the College Board is an organization, it's nonprofit, that one of their goals or one of their jobs is they are in charge of creating the SAT and the AP entrance exams for colleges. And they work with colleges integrally to make sure that students are, I want to say, tested, given the tools that they need so that they are placed correctly as they go off to college. And when I say placed correctly, I mean based upon are they academically ready. And so they do not have an official list, but based upon what colleges around the country and so forth are requiring, they have compiled a list of recommended reading that college students should use before going off to college, or should read before going off to college.
Wow, and I bet I've not read a lot of them.
I don't know if you have or not. What I have discovered for myself, because I have a degree in English, so I've certainly read all different literary genres throughout my life. There are many books on this list that I have read, let's say 20, 30 years ago. Not trying to give away an age. It's been so long that I've forgotten some of the details. And so with Veronica, it's kind of like we have created our own little book club. And so it's refreshing me on many different classics that I had forgotten what the details were.
Oh, very cool. So, okay. Are you ready to get her on the line?
We can certainly try. Let's see what we can do.
Hello?
Hello?
Well, hello, Veronica. Welcome to the Book Barn. I am so excited that you could join us today. I have Mrs. Ost in the barn as well.
Hello, Veronica.
So first off, I want to ask you a few questions. Where are you from and what year in school are you?
I'm from Colorado and I'm a senior in high school.
Awesome. Senior year. Good memories of my senior year. So have you been thinking about colleges? Do you have some colleges in mind?
Quite a few. A lot of them international, many in the UK.
Okay.
Is there one in particular that you're favoring at this point?
Well, my dream university has always been the University of Edinburgh in Scotland.
Oh, wow. I hope you get there.
I do too. That's awesome. So I've been told that you are a big reader, and we're just kind of curious, what are some books you've been reading lately?
Well, one of them has been Slaughterhouse-Five. I continue to read in school, so we're reading The Namesake currently. And on my own, I've been rereading a few novels. With Miss Oss, I've been reading The Stranger and The Scarlet Letter. Yeah.
I read The Scarlet Letter in high school as well. So I also heard from Mrs. Oss that you are a finalist in a competition. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was the John Locke essay competition. It's an international competition based on a few subjects. There's law, philosophy, theology, and other things. I was a finalist in the law category.
Amazing. How will you know the results? How long does that take?
I will likely get the results mid-October. There's a conference happening in October where they announce the results.
Okay.
Where is this conference, and do you get to go?
I do get to go. It's in London.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have always wanted to go to London, so I am a little jealous, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this book, Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Can you start by telling us what you think the significance of the title is?
Yeah, so the significance is in the story itself. Slaughterhouse-Five is the building in which the narrator and main character, Billy Pilgrim, as well as other prisoners of war, were held during the Dresden firebombing. And also, if someone was to pick up this book in a bookstore or library and, judge a book by its cover, Slaughterhouse is a place where all ethical guidelines of killing things, and specifically animals, but in this case, as a World War II novel, people. So it's another symbol for the ruthlessness of war as well.
Oh my goodness. Well said. Can you give us a summary of the book?
So the novel follows Billy Pilgrim, who is an American soldier who comes into World War II in Dresden right before the firebombing. We follow his life in a very non-linear manner, where the narrator explains that Billy is unstuck in time, which means that he time travels back and forth through different parts of his life with seemingly no meaning at all. And we just follow him through, obviously his time in World War II, his capture, his childhood, his post-war career, and even times where he describes his time with aliens called the Tralfamadorians.
Vonnegut himself actually inserts his own voice into the book. How does he do that, and what character does he become within that novel?
In the first and last chapters, it's pretty autobiographical. He explains how he has he had trouble writing this novel in the first place, but then he also becomes Billy Pilgrim, the main character, as he recounts his time, the time he spent in the war with Billy. And he also, some parts of Billy are also self-inserts, his career. Billy also went to university after war, and so did Vonnegut. And he also sometimes inserts just himself back in there without Billy. There are times where, after certain events, he says, "That was me," the narrator.
Mrs. Austen and I were just talking about that part where he says, "I'm the author and I was there."
Yeah.
So very interesting. I thought it was such a powerful and unusual book. The author mixes science fiction, war, trauma in a way that I thought was pretty unforgettable. I had not read this book before, and then Mrs. Oss told me that was the book you were talking about, so I did a crash read of it, and I enjoyed it very much. Did you like the book?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
So why do you think Slaughterhouse-Five utilized a non-linear narrative structure?
I think it's a great example of war and what war does to people. We see a lot of veterans post-war have struggled with Alzheimer's and forgetting just so many things and remembering just very traumatic moments in their lives and sometimes random moments in their lives. And we see this with how Billy travels back and forth through different times of his life, but almost every single time it is something that has been traumatic in small parts and in sometimes big reasons why. Like, obviously the war was the most traumatic, but there are times where he is a kid and he doesn't quite realize how traumatic it was, but some of the only things he noticed, like when they were on vacation to a canyon, when Billy visits the canyon with his family, some of the only things that he remembers is being quite scared of it, and how the tour guide mentioned how many people die in the canyon every year. And then we just switch to a different part. So even his childhood, he is remembering things that are scared him or where people were mentioning dying or had died.
Right. I felt like it was continually a circle and did not go in a straight line. And I bet Mrs. Oss probably teaches her writers to write chronologically. Is that correct?
Well, there's a theory of the inverted narrative, so it's a stylistic technique. It depends.
And it worked in the story. It totally worked.
I think the style of the writing that Kurt Vonnegut has chosen as far as the nonlinear says something about symbolic meaning of, I would say, probably a person suffering from PTSD would go through.
Yeah. Okay, Veronica, we have to talk about these aliens.
Yes, we should probably mention this book is partially autobiographical, and yet there are aliens.
There are aliens. Who are they, and what role do they play in Billy's story?
So the Tralfamadorians are aliens that see all of time just at once. To them, every moment always exists, and they know the future and the past and the present. So death, which is what most people are scared of, isn't ever final for them, and we see that in how they describe seeing other things. Like, they see stars not as single moments in time, how we see them, but as their paths. So instead of little blinking lights, they see them as I believe they were describing them as like noodles or spaghetti. Humans to them are also not just two-legged creatures, they describe them as millipedes with like baby legs at one end and older legs at the end, because they aren't just one person at one time. They're everything they ever were at the same time. And even the way they read, when Billy looks at their books, he doesn't quite understand them, but when they explained it to him, they see everything at one time instead of how we read books, which is obviously emotional ups and downs because we don't have the capability of seeing one thing at one time. And for Billy, they probably serve as a coping mechanism where he can accept war and death without completely losing it, because he just moves on from every death that he sees. Time continually moves on, and he can't get stuck in every single death because there's just too much of it happening at one time.
The phrase, "so it goes," what do you think the author meant by repeating that line?
It's repeated every time someone dies, and not just someone, but even something insignificant like champagne, or at times animals, like when they explain that dead animals' fat was used for grease. And it's just kind of a counter of every single death that happens, and I think it portrays how much death happens all the time, because again, every moment in his life and almost every flashback that he has, something goes, something is lost.
Yeah, I did put acceptance of the unacceptable at times when he said, "so it goes." That's what I thought.
And I don't know if you have this in your questions. I didn't look closely at them, but there are some people who refer to Billy as a Christ-like figure. So I'm wondering is it just a matter of not accepting or trying to numb himself maybe from the trauma, or is he truly accepting that there is more to life than death?
And so it goes.
And so it goes.
Yeah, maybe. Veronica, I thought there was a lot of dark humor throughout this book. Even during the wartime and the tragedy, there was dark humor. How did that strike you as a reader?
I think as someone who often enjoys novels of World War II and movie retellings, it's kind of just what you see all the time. And I think to some people who view this kind of entertainment, I suppose, less often, they are more jarred by it. But I thought that it's kind of part of who we are. And it's at times where we laugh at something that's kind of crazy or really dark, and then you realize that you're laughing about something that's dark. And it's just how people survive in general, because people need food and water to survive, but that's just your body. Your mind is a completely different wheelhouse where there's only so much trauma you can take, and that's why our brain will sometimes cover it up and we'll forget about it. And a lot of people use jokes to kind of get over it, because if you can't keep on going if you're always hung up about if you're grieving all the time. And so you need something joyful, and we see that in all the characters like Billy, where he still laughs in times, even when he's describing very methodically everything that's happening. It's almost like he's just watching it all happen. But you see how they still have plays during the war, and the Englishmen are joking, and even when they're joking even when there are things like the soap that they're using, they're being told is made from something else, but it's likely made from the remains of other soldiers.
That was pretty crazy.
There are some moments in this novel that I struggled with because of it being so graphic and detailed. You stated that very eloquently.
So finally, why do you think Vonnegut wrote this book? What was he trying to say about war and survival and even humanity itself? What are your thoughts on that?
I think he wrote it mostly because in his own words, it was just a retelling of the war. He was a writer, and it was something that he felt he needed to do, but he struggled with it a lot, mostly because there isn't a way, to make war entertainment, and especially when the main character, Billy, has this incident with his old friend's wife, where she's like, are you going to make this an anti-war book, or are you going to make this a book where you glorify war and, it's shown in the movies and people just want more of it? And I think it shows the struggles that we often see things more as an entertainment format than they are, and that this is how war it turns children into soldiers, which is why we have the subtitle of the Children's Crusade, because even though Billy himself doesn't really understand that they were all children during this war, even just at the edge of adulthood, 18, 17, it just normalizes a lot of death, and that surviving it doesn't quite make you a hero. He doesn't feel heroic after it. And there was one moment where someone says all the real soldiers have died, and Billy agreed, because it's not something noble. It just makes you a survivor. And that during wartime, humanity is cruel and fragile, but there's still light, and people will make light in it, even if it's at the compensation of other people like The Englishman and all the plays. And that just, there's nothing intelligent to say about a massacre is one of the quotes from the book. And I think that just proves that, like, any time we write about war, which we should because it's part of our history, and the whole thing, if, like, we don't record history, we're doomed to repeat it. And we still repeat it to this day, but there's nothing that we can say about it sometimes that will kind of make it any different. And it's how so many people perceive war in different ways. Like, we have certain characters in the book that enjoy war, or at least enjoy the very gruesome parts of war that many of us that don't see war often find hard to read. Like, one of his friends fantasize about, like, different execution methods and which one's the best one, and we're kind of just sitting through it, and that's just sometimes that's how people think. And I think the book just shows the many perspectives that people can have during war.
And I think we live in a world right now where many people are maybe a bit desensitized. World War I, World War II, I don't know that anybody alive today, or too many people alive today, can really relate to just how horrific that was. And Kurt Vonnegut, in this novel, I think does bring many of those details to light. And there's just, it's the horrors of war. And then ultimately the after effects, particularly on this one soldier who happens to write a book about it. And it's not romanticized.
Veronica, after speaking to you, I would have guessed, if I didn't know differently, that you were much older. Very wise for your age. I think we're going to see great things from you, young lady. I can't thank you enough for joining us for this episode. We've got to have you rate this book, though. What's your rating on a 5-star scale? What do you give it?
Honestly, probably a 5. Especially because for me, it's, again, a sort of genre that I enjoy. Probably same around with certain war movies like Oppenheimer, where we kind of see the cruelty of war from a different perspective. And it's less of all the front lines and more of the back lines of what happens and the calculations of people behind it that makes it so not less gruesome, but gruesome in a more subtle way that makes you realize just how much people will enjoy wartime and how cruel people can be, while at the same time seeing the struggles of people in such horrific situations.
Veronica, I hear you have a big day today. We're going to let you go and get ready for your big event, but thank you. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Anderson, we want to thank you for coming and being on our podcast. You've had a busy day.
Yeah.
Just got finished with football practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how is school going?
Pretty good. It's been pretty laid back. Not super hard work. Just getting back in the swing of things.
Sure. Yeah. So what grade are you in right now?
I'm in the 8th grade.
Okay.
And I actually thought you were a little older. So I was thinking you were in high school already.
Yeah.
I'm old for my grade, so.
There you go.
Okay.
Very mature. Have you thought about college at all?
A little bit, but I don't really know what colleges I'm interested at this point. But, I mean, if I were going to go financially, I'd go to Emporia State and live with my grandparents.
Oh, that's a good plan.
I bet your mom would like that plan.
Keep me out of debt, yeah.
Yeah.
So what if money wasn't the issue and you could go anywhere?
Anywhere? Probably an Ivy League school.
Yes, do that.
They would be proud of that too, right?
Yes, they would.
So we know that you have a book that you would like to talk about today,
Yes.
but do you have any other favorite books or anything you're reading recently that you want to tell us about too quickly? Or
I've been reading some Bill O'Reilly books about different assassinations and things, the Killing series. Fairly interesting. I really like history, so.
Okay.
And I read Animal Farm by George Orwell a few months ago. It was very good.
I have not read that. I probably should. So, tell us about the book we're talking about today.
It's To Kill a Mockingbird. It was written by Harper Lee. It follows a white family living in a small town in the Deep South. Basically, their father gets wrapped up in a public defense court for a black man who is being accused of raping and beating a white woman. He's sent to court. This is not the whole book. A lot of the book, starting out, details the children's experience living in that time period, which is around the 40s, in the Depression era, right around World War II time. And they're in basically some pretty big racial differences. And they're kind of oblivious to the fact that this is going on around them because their father has brought them up in a way as to kind of shield them from that. So they kind of just live their lives as normal kids. They play around. They talk about Boo Radley, the, I guess, hermit madman. Lots of rumors circulate around him. And their dad goes to court. They get exposed to this world that they've never seen before in this culture at the time that was pretty wrong. But it's very interesting to read from a kid's point of view how they're viewing this situation. And the black man is eventually convicted, guilty, and he's sent to prison. He is killed in an escape attempt. And the father of the accuser is angry about some things that were said in the trial and attacks the protagonist and her brother. And they're miraculously and mysteriously saved by Boo Radley, who kind of makes a surprise appearance in the end. And he's figured out to be a pretty decent guy. He's normal, just likes to keep to himself. And they kind of just let sleeping dogs lie and keep him in the way he likes things. And that's pretty much the whole book.
Yeah. Well, that was a great job. Great job with that summary. So I have to admit, and I'm a little ashamed to say, I haven't read this book.
Oh, really?
I haven't.
Okay.
And I keep thinking that I will get to it, and I just haven't yet. I know about the book. You know, it's a fairly well-known book. So let's just start in this discussion here then. How did you feel about Atticus?
He was a real hero. He had great morals. He raised his kids really well to just keep them from that social injustice that was happening around them.
Yeah. So the sense of justice shows itself when he tells you that it's okay to shoot blue jays, but that it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of making a reference to the way he feels about black people at the time, because he believes that black people have never done anything to deserve the injustice that they're getting. It's just unfair. Yeah.
That's very insightful.
In my notes, I had put down that mockingbirds are just songbirds.
Right.
And so
they're innocent.
They're innocent. So I love that you put that together like that.
Yeah.
That's really good. I have read the book. I read it in high school. And then I read it again when I found out that was the book you were going to talk about. Such a classic. You have to read it, Laisha. It's so
and then
good.
Somebody's going to probably say, we did read it. And I'm like, so I don't remember.
I don't remember reading it. I wanted to ask you about the teacher, Miss Caroline, and how you felt about, did she treat Scout fairly? What were your thoughts about that?
It's kind of a weird topic because she just wants to teach Scout in a way that's, she's just following the rules. And Scout has kind of been brought up unconventionally, and the teacher just wants to keep her formal, like.
Well, she basically tells her to not let her dad teach her how to read. As a teacher, Anderson, I would never say that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, go ahead, Mom, read to that kid every night. But yeah, I thought that was strange that she just wanted to do it her way.
Yeah.
And didn't want Dad influencing how Scout was, taught.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting.
So you've mentioned Boo Radley and that he was never seen. Why do you think he wasn't seen?
I've always thought he had some kind of maybe autism or something that keeps him, he's not completely normal, and he doesn't like to be around lots of people. And it just makes him feel very out of place, I think.
I can sympathize with that some. Do you think that he was a villain, a victim, or a hero?
He was not a villain. He was a victim and a hero at the same time, because he gets a lot of attention drawn to him, and some of that's not good attention. Nasty rumors, not things that are real, just people being people and making things up. And he's really a hero because in the end he saves the day. He kind of just swoops in and gets him. He might be seen as a villain because he did kill Bob Ewell, the father of the accuser. Well, at least that's inferred. But I don't think he's a villain. Not at all.
What's your opinion on that, Lanie?
Boo's dad kept him away from, others. Mm-hmm. And I think that after being like that for years, that was just his comfort. Like you said, I never would have thought about the autism, but very possible, very insightful of you to think that. I wouldn't have thought that. I thought he was a hero. He did save the kids from being killed, or, who knows what would have happened if he hadn't shown up. So let's go to Scout and her brother. How do you think they were affected by that trial? They were up there in that top section. I don't even think their dad knew that they were there. And they watched what was going down, which wasn't okay. How do you think that affected them?
Like I said earlier, they weren't quite experienced to the outside world, and it kind of just thrust them into a world that was very unlike what they had been taught, had very different morals than what they had. And it was pretty clear to them that this stuff is wrong, and that this needs to be stopped, and it's not right. And they realized that their father is a real hero. I
agree. They lost their childhood innocence a little bit. I do want to talk about the sequel. This, I have in front of me the collection of Harper Lee books. My son, Joseph, bought these for me. And after I read To Kill a Mockingbird, knowing you were coming, I went ahead and read the sequel, Go Set a Watchman. Have you read that?
No.
It is real good. I don't know if I'd put it quite as high as To Kill a Mockingbird, but it's about Scout, Jean Louise. Mm-hmm. She doesn't go by Scout as an adult.
Right.
She moves to New York City, and then she comes back to Macomb to see her father, and there's still a lot of civil rights issues. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very good. I'm not going to say any more about it, but you should read it. You really should.
I think
it's
I'll
great.
Put that on my list.
Great,
things I want to read.
Did you enjoy To Kill a Mockingbird?
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Love the book.
So, what would you rate it?
Like a scale of
like 5 stars, or you could do a 10-star rating, whichever feels easiest to you.
I'm going to do a 5-star rating out of 5.
5 out of 5.
It was great book.
Great book.
I would rate it a 5 as well.
Well, great job, Anderson. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I do want to read the book, and you've made me want to read it even more. You're so well spoken.
That's why I thought you were older.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we loved having you. Wow. 2 amazing conversations. Veronica and Anderson. We wish them the best of luck. Anderson going into, well, he's still in middle school.
Yeah.
So he'll be in high school next year and then prepping for college. Veronica, I think big things in her future as well. We just really want to thank both of them for being a part of our podcast.
Yeah, they both have some really big milestones ahead of them. I really believe that they're going to shine. So that's all for today. Until next time, I'm Laisha.
And I'm Lanie.
And keep reading, keep growing,
And let every book bring you closer to your future.